Welcome to the Art of Classiness Podcast, a show where we redefine what it means to be a classy lady, and sometimes it's messy. I'm Robin.
And I'm Deborah, two friends turned classy ladies who are here to discuss life's ups and downs, navigating the complexities of adulthood, and how the gift of friendship is essential to belonging. Today, we're diving into some messy, controversial, and straight-up chaotic friendship dilemmas.
That's right. We're tackling some wild "am I the asshole" stories and deciding who's classy, who's crass, and who's just plain wrong.
So follow along, give us your feedback, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
What's up, classy ladies and gentlemen?
Let's do a little check-in. Robin, how has your week been?
It's been pretty good. It's been very cold. I've pulled out the overalls again. We have 80 degrees one week, 20 degrees the next week. I don't know. Thank you, Texas. But also, I got my nails done, and they match my ring.
Pretty. I love it. Robin's ring is an emerald. Not just an emerald cut, an emerald gemstone, and it's gorgeous. And now her nails match that.
Green on green, baby.
I never paint my nails because I am a not girly girl, and also I'm always chipping my nails. I don't even bite my nails, but I'm just always chipping them. They're always breaking, and they've got like a 3-day lifespan. And the times that I have had them professionally done, they not only chip, but then they're in such horrendous shape when I finally take the polish off that I just don't do it. And I always feel weird when I'm in like a group of girls and they're like, "What color did you get?" And I'm like, I got to show them my little rat fingers. Like, nothing here, nothing special for me.
I get gel, and the gel lasts longer. Like, if you're just getting it painted on like regular nail polish, absolutely, that stuff sucks. It chips so fast. I just like to admire how pretty they are. And if I did them myself, they would not look that way.
Yeah.
It's the ring. Before I had the ring, I didn't care so much. But now I feel like the ring needs
an accessory.
Yeah. It deserves to be like highlighted. And when my nails look like shit, the contrast is a little jarring for me.
I hear you.
Anyway, how has your week been?
My week has been good. I tell you, my kids have not had a full week of school. I feel like this entire fiscal year. Like, this past Monday was President's Day, so they had that Monday off. And last Friday they had off for just funsies, I guess, because they couldn't go a whole freaking week of the school year without having some random day off. So that's been kind of trying because obviously I work from home and they're just here, and we're just hoping for the best that they are not like trying to light things on fire in the basement. And it's a little preview as to what my summer could look like with them at home. So I'm getting a little nervous about the plan, but, we'll just see what happens. I still have a small window of opportunity to register them for summer camp and get them out of this home. But I will say it is obviously nice having that little extra time with my kids and not have to worry about lunches in the morning and making the school bus on time. So for that, I'm grateful. But I'm also very grateful to go into the weekend because I've also accepted I'm just going to have a trash home from Sunday to Thursday because it's too hard to keep up with everything while they're here with the dog and work and everything and cooking dinners, that I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to be comfortable with the mess. And now I find myself looking forward to like a real deep clean on a Saturday morning. And that's where we're at in life in terms of exciting things going on. And it's cleaning my house.
I love a clean house. And I think that's really smart. Like, why make yourself miserable while they're there?
Yeah.
Just wait till they're gone. And you bring up a solid point. Those kids are getting to the age where they are teenage boys.
Oh my God.
They're just right around the corner from that. Like, and the way you're describing this, like, it's so reminiscent. Like, I remember when I was that age, around boys that age. And
the fighting, it's constant wrestling. My oldest got a Nerf gun for Christmas, and it's already just caused tears and injury. And it's really unnerving when he cocks it. Like, we're all scared. Like, who's he going to go after? And yeah, we're just at that phase of just chaos and stinkiness and all the boy things. So yeah, that's what's going on with me. Today's classy convo, we are revisiting the topic of, am I the asshole? We had such a great response the last time that we did this episode where we focus on Am I the Asshole Reddit threads, specifically on the topic of friendships. There's so many different friendship dynamics where you don't know, am I the asshole? So we thought, let's do some more this week. What do you think, Robin?
I love that we've decided to make this a recurring segment. I'm so excited.
Okay, so we have 4 really juicy scenarios this week. So let's get right on into it. Robin, why don't you kick off the first thread?
Okay. Am I the asshole for telling my friend I won't be inviting her out anymore? So my boyfriend tells me I'm not the asshole, but I feel like I may be. So I, female 23, have a friend I'll call Mary, who's 22. She and I worked together and became friends. Well, this past Saturday, I invited her out with my friend group to go to a local amusement park that goes all out for Halloween. Mary asked if she can bring her kids, a 5-year-old boy and an 18-month-old girl. Everyone involved tells her it's really not a good idea, as this park and its haunted attractions are not geared towards children, and we're planning on being there until it closes, which is midnight. She seems to accept this, but asks repeatedly throughout the week leading up to Saturday, and she is again told no. Well, Saturday arrives, and as you can guess, she brought her kids. Other people in our group asked her why, and she just shrugged, saying she thought the kids would have fun.
Ugh.
They didn't.
No.
Her son got scared within about 10 minutes of us getting into the park and began to cry, begging to go home, to which Mary tells him, calm down and he'll have fun eventually, says no one ever to a 5-year-old. We get in line for the first haunted house and her son again starts to cry, saying he doesn't want to go into the house. Mary then asks myself if I'll stay and watch her son and daughter so she can go into the haunted house. I tell her no, and that this is why we told her not to bring her kids. She gets upset and drags her very scared child through the haunted house.
Oh my God.
He had a meltdown and had to be carried out. This repeats through every single haunted house we attempted to go through. Around 11:30, my boyfriend pulls me aside and tells me that he can't take any more of the screaming and crying. We try to break off to find a place to calm down. Mary sees this and leaves her son and daughter with us while she runs off to go on a ride. Her son gets scared by an actor chasing people with a chainsaw and has an epic meltdown. I'm doing the best I can to console him, but I am rapidly running out of patience. Finally, his mom comes back and I all but shove her son back into her arms. I tell Mary that my boyfriend and I were leaving along with the rest of our group. She gets huffy but agreed. We leave the park and go to Waffle House for dinner. At this point, it's midnight, and both kids are extremely tired and upset. They cry all through dinner, and Mary did nothing to calm them down. Finally, at the end of my rope, once we get out of the restaurant, I lose my temper. I tell Mary that this is why she was told not to bring her kids to this event, and that I will not be inviting her back out again if she can't follow the rules of the group. Mary got upset and has since blocked me and the other people who agreed with me. No one in the group agreed with Mary, but they all did say that I didn't need to say anything about it to her and that I didn't need to tell her I wasn't inviting her out again. Am I the asshole?
Well, here's the thing. No, not entirely, because Mary's definitely the asshole in this situation, in my opinion. I mean, it's one thing if this is your first child and you don't know the types of boundaries or limitations that your kids have in highly overstimulating environments, right? So if you've never taken a kid to anything Halloween oriented, it doesn't even have to be like a more mature haunted house. Like little kids sometimes get scared of things that are not supposed to be scary, just like grown adults dressed up as animals, right? Like they could easily get scared, those little things. But she has had a second kid. So she has 2 kids now. She should know not only the limitations of what her kids should and should not do, such as going to a theme park where you literally have actors running around with chainsaws. That should just not even be on the table at all. But the thing that really chaps my ass is keeping them up late. Like, that's just really, really selfish. Like, you don't need to go to Waffle House with your kids past 8 p.m., let alone midnight. Like, you're just making yourself miserable. But the real asshole move is just like not at all being considerate of how you have completely bogarted and ruined your friend's time. So I lean on the side of 𝗪𝗁 being the asshole. But what do you think about, let's talk about 𝗪𝗁 first, and then we can figure out if the OP is the asshole.
Okay. There's a few things that bother me about 𝗪𝗁. Okay. They're work colleagues. So it seems like they haven't known each other for a super long period of time. So it's not the kind of friendship where I don't think you could be as open and honest with each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so maybe that's what OP was struggling with. Also, why the hell would you still go to dinner after the shit show that happened at the amusement park? Like that, do you not have any self-awareness?
Right.
I get it, you're young, but you have a 5-year-old and 18-month-old. Like, how are you not piecing together that give up on this evening?
Mm-hmm. Right. Cut your losses. Go home after the first time your kid didn't want to be there.
I'm surprised this place even allowed children in based on the description.
True. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's 22. She's acting just like a 22-year-old.
Right.
And she's clearly not ready or willing to admit that the life that she wants to live, like these other people without kids, is no longer the life she has the ability to live. She's not willing to let go of the possibilities of what that life could have been. Like, she's clinging on to that. She wants to do things that a 22-year-old does.
Mm-hmm.
And she seems to really struggle coming to terms with that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest issue here.
100%. She's definitely just trying to, like, see, guys, everything's the same. Nothing's changed at all. I'm just like how I used to be. And that is a hard lesson that some new parents learn. I remember there were several times that I would take my firstborn Max to a bar, you know. Now, it would be during the day, right? If we were like going to brunch at 𝗪𝗏 or something like that. Or I remember taking Max to 𝗬𝗏𝗄's birthday, which if you do not live in Austin, you might not know, but it is, I don't even know how to describe it. It started in the 70s with like UT college students. It's at Peace Park, or it was. And it's just like an outdoor hippie fest. There's a lot of nudity, but normally they're like painted over boobies that are out. But there's, you know what I mean? It's a very free-spirited hippie fest.
Babies don't care about that.
And it's a family-friendly event. But I remember even taking him there with all of my friends who weren't even thinking about having kids at that point. And, you know, trying my best to have a good time, but also realizing like we should probably just take Max home at this point. So I understand the social, maybe not even social, but just the personal pressures that moms put on themselves to resist the full-blown transformation into being a parent. Now, having said that, the question is not, is 𝗪𝗁 the asshole? The question is the OP the asshole? And I would say that she is 10% the asshole, in my opinion, because I don't think she should have let it get to that point where she's blowing up in a parking lot to her.
True.
I think she missed the opportunity after meltdown number 2 to say, hey, I understand you wanted to bring your kids here. This is not really like what we had planned for the night.
This isn't working out.
This isn't working out. Why don't you just do your own thing with the kids? Maybe we can try again another time to do something when you can secure childcare. But like, I don't necessarily want this to be the evening that I'm having. And I also think to banish her from future events is a little dramatic, you know?
I'm wondering if there's some other stories that we don't know about with this work friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. She does seem to have just pushed this person over the edge. Or maybe the night was really that bad, which, again, you should have spoken up sooner. But I get, like, OP probably didn't want to be an asshole.
Right.
But then it got to a point where they just couldn't not say something, probably because of what I just said. Like, the lack of self-awareness can be really annoying. Like, that would piss me off. I would be so mad at the other person for just how stupid they're being.
Right.
Here's one thing else I'll say for 𝗪𝗁. Like, she's a young, sounds like single mom, and she probably feels excluded from social life in general all the time.
Yeah.
She probably can't afford childcare. She probably doesn't have the kind of support that one would need with 2 freaking kids. And
yeah,
this is her just trying to make it all work. In a way, I feel for her. I feel bad that she's struggling in this way. But it also seems like these aren't the kinds of friends that you should be trying to work through that with at a haunted house amusement park. I don't know.
The fact that they are work friends just brings in a whole other awkward dynamic because you are going to see these people and you have let them see this crazy, like everyone let their crazy out at some point. She showed her work friends that she's maybe like kind of not has her shit together in terms of motherhood. And the OP kind of showed herself as someone who's like a pot that just boiled over and just spewed some shit out that she cannot take back. So work's going to be super awkward on Monday. And obviously, I don't even think there's like salvaging this. It doesn't even seem like they were close enough going into this night. So I think this is just like a nail in the coffin. But
yeah,
my advice to OP, you're not the asshole, but maybe stand up for yourself before you get to the point where you have to lose your shit in a Waffle House parking lot.
Yeah, I mean, hold it in a little bit longer. Just go get in your car and leave. Like, think about it and send a text. Like, craft a nicer message. It's not like you're completely in the wrong, but why make a bad night worse?
Right. Right.
She blocked everyone. Like, you're going to see her at work anyway, knowing that, like, oh, man.
So awkward. All right, not the asshole. Declared.
What's next?
Am I the asshole for ruining my friend's vacation? And ruining is in quotations. I, female 38, just got back from a vacation with two of my longtime friends, Kate, female 41, and Mary, female 38, not their real names. I've known them both since university, and we've always been close. The three of us have been planning this trip to Bali for a few months, along with our husbands and their kids. They both have children under 5, while my husband, Jake, male 45, and I are child-free. We agreed to split the cost of our 4-bedroom villa 3 ways, and everything seemed fine at first. Jake and I arrived in Bali earlier than the rest of the group because we had different flights. Once we got to the villa, we waited to choose rooms with our friends and didn't mind when they both chose the one with en-suites. We had a great time during the trip. Jake and I did some couples activities, massages, hiking, dinner. But we also spent time with Kate and Mary and their families whenever it worked for everyone. To be nice, I even surprised them with massages to give them a break. That is nice. The only thing that made me uncomfortable was whenever I ordered a drink, a cocktail before dinner, or a glass of wine with meals, I'd get comments like, "Oh, you're drinking again?" For context, I'm a social drinker and don't drink often, but when I'm on vacation, I didn't think that it was a big deal, especially since our husbands were drinking too. I just ignored the comments so I could enjoy the trip. On the last night, Jake and I made plans with the guys to go out, and Kate and Mary said they were going to stay in to pack. Jake convinced me to join him, and since it was the last night on our vacation, I didn't want to stay in. We went out and had a great time. We got home at 1 a.m. and I passed out straight after. The next morning was a bit chaotic with everyone packing and checking out, but we all made it back home without issue. We had booked business class seats, so we were separated during the flight and said a quick goodbye at the airport. A week after returning home, I got a long text from Kate saying that both she and Mary wanted to reduce contact with me because I had ruined their vacation. They mentioned several things like me drinking every night, that I wasn't acting like a girl's girl, that I booked different flights, didn't hang out with them enough, and that I was selfish for not helping with their kids. She even said that I just focus on partying and not acting my age. This message really hurt me. I cried after reading it and honestly don't know what to think. I thought I was enjoying my vacation, but clearly they had a very different view. I haven't responded yet, and my husband has been asking what's bothering me, but I don't know what to say. Am I the asshole for how I acted during the trip?
You mean like a normal person on vacation?
Like a child-free woman, first of all? Now, I will say, she says that she's child-free. She does not say child-free by choice, so I don't know what her plans on becoming a mother are, or if they've decided they do not want to have kids, or maybe they can't have kids. But a vacation with kids is a trip, okay? A vacation without kids is a vacation. So you're already going to have different experiences when you are internationally traveling with what I'm assuming are young kids, right?
Yeah, they're all under 5.
They're all under 5. Exactly. I think that the OP is a saint for even going on this trip in the first place. You get to go to Bali, and yet you have to spend it in the same villa as kids that are under 5 years old. Like, she's even nice for going on this trip in the first place when her and her, I'm just assuming, a hot silver fox Jake at 45 years old. You could have had a fun little vacation, just the two of you, and yet you chose to spend this time with your friends. So already I think that she did them a service just by going on this trip, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because it's not fun spending time with other people's kids. I'm sorry. It's just not.
No, especially when they're having their meltdowns. Like, and you can't expect other people to parent your kids. It's always wonderful when people offer and they're there to help and they actually are helpful, but that is never a requirement. None of y'all have ever made me feel like I need to help you with your kids.
Yeah.
Everyone understands my kids, my responsibility. Like, I think these women were either jealous or resentful that they didn't get to have the same kind of vacation that OP did.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But even, I mean, she treated them to massages. I don't know what else they expect from her. Like, they even took the best rooms in the house.
Yeah.
Even though they still split it 3 ways. These people had kids. They used 3 of the bedrooms.
Mm-hmm.
They took both the en-suites and put this couple in a bedroom without a bathroom, and they still paid for 1/3 of this house.
Right.
That's so fucked.
Yeah.
It really pisses me off.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have it both ways. Either pay more for taking the best rooms or let everyone have equal say in accommodations. And the fact that OP and her husband were so accommodating, like, everything that OP is saying, like, it's every way that she's trying to be thoughtful towards her old friends of many years. She's trying to be sensitive to the fact that they have their kids with them. And it doesn't seem to matter at all to these maybe kind of high maintenance jerks.
Yeah, I think a lot of times when people are angry, it is just a projection of things that they don't have. So they're looking at their child-free friend who is probably sleeping in,
can wake up hungover and not have to do shit.
not have to do anything, who can go out, that can afford business class tickets to Bali because you don't have to pay another $1,000 to fly your kids. So you might as well spend it on like flying in a nicer class, right? I think there's probably a lot of jealousy here from her girlfriends during this trip. And maybe they just haven't spent enough time with each other recently for her friends to really see what the child-free friend's life is like. And it's probably a lot better than theirs.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, kids under 5, like, that's the hardest time as a parent.
Especially international travel. And I'm assuming, I don't know where they are, but I don't think they're from America because they said university and we would have said college, right? So I feel like maybe this is either from Australia or from England. Either way, major international travel, and like kids have a hard time with jet lag. So they were probably on a totally different schedule. You might have kids waking up at like 4 a.m. because they think it's like time to wake up, and you just don't know. So I'm sure that they were probably dealing with their own level of stress. The reason that the OP is not the asshole, in my opinion, is because they waited until after the trip to say something to her. Had they just said day 2, hey, we're kind of bogged down with the kids. Like, would you mind helping so we can do XYZ? Or, hey, I know you're having a good time drinking. We're a little concerned that you might be drinking too much. Like, they didn't say anything during this whole trip. So what is the OP supposed to do after the fact, know?
And it's very clear that all of the men were drinking.
Right.
What is this double standard? You're allowed to enjoy drinking on your vacation. Like, it doesn't sound like she was being reckless or causing any issues.
Right.
And I'm going to connect the dots here. Like, it's the fact that they're frustrated with OP and not their own husbands. The frustration feels very misplaced. If you felt like you weren't being able to enjoy your vacation, you need to tell the husbands, like, hey, I'm going out for the day. You're staying here with the kids. Like, take initiative for yourself. Why is it OP's fault that you don't know how to speak to your husband about having equal time alone to enjoy yourselves.
Right. Here's the clue in all of this is when she said, they said that I wasn't acting like a girl's girl. I think that they perceived the OP as maybe being flirtatious with the husband, right? They may have felt like you're drinking, you're walking around in your bikini, like I bet you there's some underlying jealousy of her around the other men. And maybe she just seems cooler and less stressed out because she doesn't have kids. And that might make her seem a little bit more desirable to these husbands. Maybe they felt like she was being flirtatious, but I would not be surprised to find that that was a potential issue.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I have to say one more thing. Shaming someone for getting nice seats on the plane? What is that?
Yeah. Grow up.
Grow up. You're in your 30s and 40s? No.
It just feels like a punishment for her being child-free. And I'm actually surprised that she didn't remark on that throughout here. But it seems like her friends wanted her to have as stressed out of a time as they were having because they decided to bring their children who are under 5 years old, which is the hardest period of parenting ever.
Yeah.
It seems like they didn't like the fact that she was not anchored by those burdens the same way that they were.
Well said. So yeah, not the asshole.
The OP is not the asshole.
Not at all.
Live your life, girl.
Yes.
Live your life.
Declared.
Declared, not the asshole.
Okay, is it my turn?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's my turn. Am I the asshole for telling my friend she has to stop punishing me for what her boyfriend did? My friend, 𝗬𝙗, and I have been friends since we were 15 years. She's my oldest friend. We're different, but that's always worked for us. When 𝗬𝙗 started dating her ex, Jake, I was really happy for her. Jake was fun, interesting, and he pulled 𝗬𝙗 out of her shell, which was nice to see. The three of us would do a lot together since Jake and I had similar interests. For a while, we were a good trio. I freely admit I was a bit blind to the signs that Jake was infatuated with me. I thought he was a nice guy who was trying to make his girlfriend's chronically single friend feel included. A lot of people clocked it. I thought they were overreacting and being disrespectful to 𝗬𝙗. It was only when my roommate mentioned it that I started to think seriously about it. Unfortunately, it was too late to do anything because Jake made a move on me less than a week after that conversation. It was actually fairly public, so it wasn't even me that had to be the one to tell 𝗬𝙗. 𝗬𝙗 and I did talk about it, and I thought we were sticking together. She even came and stayed with me for 3 weeks after the breakup. I did everything I could to support her, but after 4 months, it never seemed to be enough. She's constantly making comments about me. What I wear, how I act, everything I do just seems to annoy her. She keeps pointing out everything I do, saying that is what gives guys the wrong idea. She doesn't seem to like going places with me anymore either. If we go out together, she leaves early if I get male attention, which I don't invite. I've taken her out for spa days, dinners, done everything I can to make her feel special, but I'm sick of feeling like 𝗪𝗺. This came to a head on Sunday when I went to 𝗬𝙗's housewarming party. She greeted me, but I could tell something was off, so I just left her to it and talked to other people. While I was talking to one of her colleagues, 𝗬𝙗 pulled me aside and asked me to change my outfit because it was drawing attention. Spoiler, it was not. I refused to change into clothes she wanted to lend me, so she said I had to leave, and that after what happened with Jake, she thought I would try to be more conscious of how I am. I kind of lost it and told her she needs to stop punishing me for what Jake did because I didn't do anything. I reminded her that she didn't see anything wrong either, so it's not like I was the only naive one and that she was the person who brought him into my life, not the other way around. I said I was sick of her acting like she's a victim of something I did and that she is being a brat, and then I left. My roommate feels I'm absolutely in the right and has been sick of how she treats me since she stayed with us. But I feel bad. The whole situation was fucked up, and maybe I'm not giving 𝗬𝙗 enough grace for feeling weird around me now. But at the same time, she could just take some space rather than being rude to me. I don't know. Am I the asshole?
Listen, in what world is this poor victim the asshole? I mean, what would she be the asshole for? Existing and having a body that makes men desire her and females jealous? It's not her fault.
This honestly makes me think about our episode where we talk about male and female friendships.
Yep, exactly.
This is a perfect example of how it's never what you think. The second they see an open door,
they're running through it.
Yeah, a lot of the time. And she even admitted she was a bit blind to the signs, probably because she just didn't want it to be true.
Right.
Like, that is so uncomfortable. Your friend is just crazy about someone, and then, like, you don't want to be the person to be like, hey, I think your boyfriend is in love with me, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I would probably ignore the shit out of that, too.
Yes. You have to create a world of delusion just so that everybody else is happy. But it sounds like she didn't even have to do that because she genuinely thought that he was a nice guy. This is why nice guys are so dangerous. Okay.
So
everyone's
true.
Always like, oh, nice guys finish last. How come no one wants to date the nice guys? Because you know what?
It's because no one trusts you.
First of all, we don't trust you. Second of all, if you're only nice because you're trying to get something and then you become a dick when you don't get it, you were never a nice guy. And third, being nice does not entitle you to my time or attention. Okay? That's the baseline for being a human being. So just because you're nice does not entitle you to reciprocated romantic feelings. And that's all I'm going to say about nice guys. But this guy is clearly a predator and a creep. And the friend should just be grateful to not be with somebody like that again. And the friend is clearly not a girl's girl.
I can see why she would feel awkward. I can see why she would need space. And I'm going to put this on her for not asking for space.
Yeah.
You know, like, she should probably get into therapy. What's it called? Like, betrayal trauma?
Oh.
It's like, even though OP didn't do anything wrong, like, Allie may still associate her with that heartbreak.
Yeah.
And she's trying to, like, make sense of those feelings, which is why I think therapy is a good alternative. Like, you need an objective third party to help you work through this, to help you see the other side of things so that you can mend your friendship with this person. Like, friendship is way more important than this stupid boy, you know?
Yeah. I totally agree. I think that the OP tried to kill her friend with kindness. And in doing that, may have ended up really putting on display.
Like, admitting that she knows she kind of, like, fucked things up in a way.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, you know, it's almost like the OP is suffering from, like a hero complex, you know, like trying so hard to do really nice things and, you know, spa days and what all the other things that she did. It's almost like rubbing in her friend's face, like, oh, not only are you hotter than me, but you're nicer than me. And you know what I mean? It's like, which again is just totally the friend's insecurity just being projected on another person. But you're completely right. When you're in that kind of situation, you need to just offer someone space sometime. And you need to communicate to them, hey, I want to give you the space that you need to work through this traumatic thing that just happened. And you know what? The OP probably needs to work through it too.
For sure. Reassess how friendships and relationships work. You can be a third wheel sometimes. You can't be the third wheel all the time. It creates a weird dynamic, and this is a perfect example.
Yeah.
It sounds like they hung out all the time, and that's what's weird to me.
Right. There should have been boundaries established sooner and more clearly.
They are still really young, and so I could see why they maybe didn't think to do that. Like 26, I definitely was not having these kinds of thoughts. Rational thoughts were not there.
Your frontal lobe cortex just finished forming.
Yeah.
Okay. You are 1 year old as an adult, in my opinion.
Yes.
So don't blame the 1-year-old.
I want to talk about the clothing for a second, because that's shaming on another level.
Yeah.
That's a low blow.
Such a low blow.
Especially like at a party in front of other people. Whether or not she pulled her to the side doesn't matter. Like, people are going to notice if you change your clothes, and then they're going to wonder why. It's like, oh, well, I was making my friend uncomfortable.
Yeah, you come out of the room in a turtleneck, you know?
Yeah, I think it's judgmental, it's controlling, and it's rude.
And it's also like just the implication that the friend was asking for that type of harassment is like very gross.
Like 𝗬𝗨 has gone down a very dark path through this breakup.
Mm-hmm.
She's got some work to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the OP is definitely not the asshole here. It's a shitty situation. Based on how they wrote the story, it seems like none of it was intentional. And so, yeah, not the asshole.
Not the asshole.
Hopefully they can work it out, like lifelong friends.
No, I think the opposite. Get this woman out of your life. Nothing is worse than having a friend that makes you feel bad for things that you are either good at or naturally have. And it seems to me like the other friend was so butthurt that her boyfriend was more attracted, or at least attracted enough to the OP to make a move. And she's always going to see her as a threat. She's always going to be jealous of her. And I think that this is an unfortunate situation to come to light. But I think that 𝗬𝗨 showed her true colors as a jealous person who is not a girl's girl.
I guess I would say if 𝗬𝗨 goes to therapy, maybe they can repair this friendship.
𝗬𝗨 needs hardcore therapy.
She needs to take responsibility for her actions. She needs to own up to being a terrible friend. And they need to have some serious talks about like how to move forward. Otherwise, yeah, you're right. The friendship is not going to last.
Yeah. Not the asshole.
Not the asshole. Okay. Last story.
Am I the asshole for not telling my best friend that I have been married for years? 4 years ago, I eloped with my partner and got married with no one in attendance. We are very private and didn't tell anyone. We've been together for 5 years prior, and this marriage was more of a formality for us than a celebration. Recently, my best friend, 𝗪𝗏, and I were having a conversation about marriage where I casually mentioned that I was married and had been for years. This completely caught 𝗪𝗏 off guard, and it totally offended her that I'd kept this information from her. She felt betrayed and questioned our friendship. I tried to explain that the marriage decision was between myself and my partner, and we hadn't excluded her on purpose. We just wanted the day to be about only us. No one was invited. I also tried to explain that I hadn't told her about it in all these years because it was never a big deal to me or something I felt needed to be announced. 𝗪𝗏 has known myself and my partner prior to us getting married. We've always been close friends. I believe she is hurt that I never told her I was married in all the years we've been friends. Am I the asshole?
Okay, listen. I see both sides, but here's the thing. This is OP's best friend.
Right.
I think at least your best friend deserves to know that kind of big news. Maybe it's not big to you, but I think in general, we know it's a big deal when someone gets married.
Yeah.
You don't have to throw a celebration. You don't have to expect anything. And you can even tell them, like, listen, I don't want to make a big deal about this, but I just want to let you know for formalities, we tied the knot, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part that bothers me. Like, they disregarded their best friend's feelings. Like, it's very dismissive, and they don't seem to feel bad about upsetting their friend.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. It's not my place to tell somebody what marriage should or should not mean to them.
Yeah.
So if it's not that big of a deal to the OP, then like it's never going to be that big of a deal to her. Where I think that she messed up is the casual nature of just sort of mentioning it like, oh, I didn't tell you I got a promotion at work, like on par with just menial this and that.
Yes.
I think that is probably what made her friend 𝗪𝗏 so upset. If she and her husband had sat down, their friends, and said, we have a surprise to tell you, we got married 4 years ago. Yeah. And like had like a little like moment where they could maybe even share some of the pictures of the day. Then I don't think that 𝗪𝗏 would maybe have been that upset because then there would have been some kind of intentionality to it.
Yeah.
But I would also be upset if you had came to me and said before you and Seth got married, or maybe I wonder if these people were even ever formally engaged. She didn't really say if they were like even engaged.
I'm going to guess not. If it's 4 years later and like no one's asking questions like, so when are you guys going to tie the knot?
Right. So if you and Seth had mentioned to me casually, like, oh yeah, we got married on our first trip to Switzerland, it would be like, what? I would almost feel creeped out that you had this whole secret life that I didn't know about. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it is a major life event.
It's a major life event. It's funny because she's like, it didn't really mean that much to us, but at the same time, like it meant enough to you to keep a secret.
It meant enough for you to decide not to say anything. I feel like if it didn't matter, you would just say it nonchalantly, like pretty quickly, not 4 years later.
Right.
I get that you're private, and Meredith probably understands that, but there's a line, and Meredith thinks maybe you crossed it, which is fair. Like, to hide it completely, like, even if no one was invited, I think your best friend is still owed that information.
Yeah. And you know what? I'll go back to like, the best friend should have been told in a different way.
Completely agree.
It should have been communicated better. Now, it doesn't really say here that Meredith like stormed off or isn't speaking to her. You know, I think maybe OP is just being a little paranoid, like, oh, I don't really know how she took that. So it seems like they might be able to like mend it and make it better. But the privacy part is throwing me because like the privacy is like, we don't want pictures at our wedding, or we want to elope because we don't want everyone staring at us. Like, I totally get that.
Yeah.
But not telling the world that you're married is very strange to me. And it sounds like it has shown Meredith that like a side of her that she didn't know.
Yes. And I think it might upset Meredith as well that OP told her. She got upset, and then OP continued to like stay emotionally detached, like not taking responsibility for the situation. Like, just acknowledge her feelings.
Right.
Like, she doesn't have to be right. You can still feel like she didn't need to know, and y'all can talk through it, but like her feelings are still valid.
Right.
Validate her feelings. I don't feel like OP did that.
Yeah.
And that's where you run into bigger problems. Like, if people's feelings aren't validated, you don't have to agree with them. They just want you to understand their side.
100%. Let's read the top comment on this one. You're the asshole. It's perfectly fine to elope and invite nobody. Your choice. It's perfectly fine for you to want to keep that information to yourself and not share with anyone. Your choice. By making that choice, however, you accept that you've excluded all of your loved ones from one aspect of your life. You're trying to blend privacy with not a big deal to me. That is a lie. You wouldn't have kept it secret all these years if privacy wasn't a big deal. Then to casually mention it in conversation with no tact and no prep and no consideration of how someone who cares about you would feel, of course she feels hurt and excluded. I got to agree.
I mean, it's everything we just said. Gosh, I love it when the top comment just...
I know. Like, we're all on the same page here.
Yeah.
Hive mind.
Collective, you're the asshole.
You are the asshole. We declare you the asshole.
Declared.
Pow. So what did you guys think? Did you agree with our assessment on who is the asshole and who is not the asshole? Do you have your own scenario that you want to run by us? Because you might be thinking maybe you're the asshole. If you do, send us an email at artofclassiness@gmail.com, and we would love to read it.
Now it's time for our segment, Class Act of the Week. We're going to talk about the classiest thing we've seen this week, and this week it is Deborah's turn. What you got, Deborah?
So my class act of the week is, again, centered on myself because I am my own champion. But it's really more about being seen and being surrounded by people who really know you very well. So in my consulting job, we kicked off our first in a series of workshops. I think I talked about it a few episodes ago. It is slightly new territory for me, but also very comfortable territory for me because in my professional life, I put on a lot of training events and, workshop type deals. A big part of my professional life has been training and development. So doing this workshop, I get to go back to that space. I just really like holding court in a room. I'm very comfortable doing that. And an old coworker of mine came to the first workshop, which was just very comforting to see a familiar face in the audience when you're doing something a little bit uncomfy. And at the end, he said, you know what, Deborah, you are in your element right now. And that made me feel so good and just really reminded me that the path I've chosen is the path. I'm on the path that I am supposed to be on. I'm doing things that are innately bringing me joy and bringing out, I think, the best in me. But what's classy is somebody else seeing that and saying something. Because we've said this before with friends, one of the most valuable things you can do is show up. And when you show up for a friend, you are showing them, I see you. You matter to me. And so just that whole exchange made me feel just a sense of belonging again. And it was just a really nice, validating thing to hear. And just a reminder that you never know when someone needs to hear it. So if you're thinking a compliment, just share it because you never know like how that's going to make them feel. So that's my class act of the week.
That's so great. I love hearing that. And I just want to remind you, I know like this time that you're going through is difficult. There's a lot of transitions happening. There's a lot of pain points, but that's where growth happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just so excited to see where all this takes you.
Thank you. Me too.
All right. Final segment of the day, class or crass. Let's talk about our classy scenario of the week, shall we?
Please.
Snoozing your alarm in a shared bedroom. Here's the scenario. You're staying with friends, but you had to wake up early and keep hitting snooze. Is it classy to keep snoozing, or should you wake up when the first alarm goes off?
It is not classy to have your alarm go off multiple times when you are sharing a room. This actually drives me crazy when people do this. My ex-boyfriend would always do this. He would set his alarm clock for like 6:20, knowing damn well he wasn't going to get out of bed until like 5 to 7. And that frickin' alarm would go off every 10 minutes until that point. And I would always kind of fall back asleep a little bit. And each time that alarm would go off, I would be groggier and groggier. And it's like, if you know that you're not going to get out of bed until the last possible time it's going to remind you, then just set it for one time. You've never been the guy that got up at 6:20. What makes you think that tomorrow you're going to get up on the first alarm? It drives me crazy.
I had similar frustrations with my husband early on in our relationship. He had a very loud alarm ringing sound. It would jolt me out of my sleep. And again, like he had multiple alarms set, multiple snoozes, same thing for hours sometimes. And I was like, okay, this has to stop. Like when I use my alarm, I set it to vibrate. And he thought, I'm not going to wake up if it's on vibrate. I was like, well, have you tried?
Yeah.
The answer was no. And here we are, years later. Guess who uses the vibration on the alarm? Guess who still wakes up to it? Guess who can put it in snooze as much as they want because it doesn't wake me up?
There you go. Just try it one time.
That's the middle ground. Like if you need multiple alarms to like just work your way up to getting out of bed, I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I am that as well. But that is also why I have my alarm set to vibration, especially if someone else is in the room.
Yeah.
Don't disrupt everyone else's sleep just because you suck at getting up in the morning.
Yeah. It's inconsiderate. And you also just need to set better expectations with yourself. People who need multiple snoozes, just set the latest alarm.
Yeah.
You know?
Your sleep isn't more important than theirs.
100%. 100%. Now, I have a very gentle waking up experience. I have a actual alarm clock, which most people just use their phones. I'm always worried that I have not set it correctly or that it's not on. I just don't trust my phone, which is wild because sometimes the power goes off in the middle of the night and then you actually can't trust your alarm clock, which has happened to me.
Just like Home Alone.
Yes, this has happened to me.
Deborah, you've seen that movie so many times. How have you done?
But it's rare. It's not common, right? It's very rare. It is more likely I forgot to charge my phone and then it dies in the middle of the night than it is that the power line is going to go down. But my alarm clock, about 5 minutes before the noise comes on, it gently lights up. So my senses sort of get the circadian jolt of like, oh, light is coming in, it's daytime, and then it quietly turns on to NPR. Now, this can be dangerous because that will keep me in a lull, but it's just a very gentle way of waking up in the morning. And obviously, if someone is with me, I will turn it off on the first go around. And then I will just get out of bed when I am psychologically ready to get out of bed. But that is just the kind of person I am. I'm never worried that I'm going to fall back asleep and completely miss whatever time I'm supposed to be somewhere or be able to do something, just because my anxiety is always awake. She never goes to sleep. Okay. So she will always get me out of bed in enough time to do what I need to do.
That's a great point, because I think actually that's part of the reason why like these loud alarms feel so shocking to me, because of my anxiety.
Yeah.
Jolting me out of sleep like that, I immediately go into a panic like, what was that? It's such a shitty way to be woken up.
It's the worst way to start a day. Yeah. So don't be a crasshole, huh?
Oh, I love that.
Like it class or crass, it's crassy, okay?
Say that again.
If it ain't classy, it's crassy.
And if you absolutely want to hit snooze, and that's just part of your wake-up routine, do it once. You get one.
You get one time. Anything
beyond that, you're a crasshole.
100%. Love it.
Declared.
Declared crasshole.
Well, I think that's all we have today. What about you, Deborah?
I don't have anything else except to say that classy is a state of mind.
So mind your classiness, everybody.
Goodbye.